Hi, this is Denny with my YouTube channel, Why Is This True? And joining me today is Sean Bond from Boston, Massachusetts, right, Sean?
Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm going to read a little introduction and skill set description for Sean, and then we'll get started. So Sean has the ability to read DNA records and spirit light body wisdom, accessing past life knowledge, skill sets, and dormant abilities. He's a Reiki master and a psionic specialist, meditation instructor, and life coach. Problem solver and spiritual conduit for teaching others about multidimensional awareness and interaction with all their individual DNA technologies, higher functions and operation systems within anyone's soul sparks/shards of their multidimensional self to help them manifest in the physical. He's skilled at accessing the user manual for DNA technology of the body to track issues back to the point of origin in order to resolve any problem happening to the body or may be accessed by organic spiritual technology within each individual. Sean assists in creating operating systems to help individuals manifest dormant abilities that unlock their psychic potential and upgrade the body's energy systems. Everyone embodies spiritual technology, which encompasses an infinite scope of possibilities, such as connecting the individual with their spiritual entourage, their higher selves, Great Spirit / the Creator, the Earth's mother realms, and or other expressions of themselves throughout time and space to resolve issues, exchange wisdom, knowledge, and skill sets. Skill sets that Sean teaches are telepathy, psychic tracking, law of attraction manifesting increase, conscious time travel, remote viewing, quantum field control, psionic defense, psychic surgery, Reiki, energy manipulation and balancing, co-creating and manifestation techniques. So everyone is born with a unique skill set of gifts just waiting to be unlocked. Sadly, most people go their entire lives without opening their own presence. In other words, their presence. So anyone in need of help and assistance, especially targeted individuals, Sean has the tools to help you. So there we go. So thanks so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here. You're a very interesting person. So
So
there's a lot into.
so how long have you been doing this kind of work?
I'm finding out I've been doing it longer and longer and longer, and there's lots of different weird ways to express that. So I'll just pretend that I don't know about that stuff, and then I'm 24, and I had huge amounts of information downloaded into me, and knowingness, and huge psychic attacks that like the mystery school of the self that brings you into that like forced awakening that like makes you regain your power or lose it. So I had an obstacle course in front of me of things holding me back, and I can feel it. And I've been working on that, getting faster and faster, and then being able to become aware of how that is affecting everyone else, and then being able to remove it for them and help people to learn how to do it the same. Because I've in like contracts for experience, in spiritual contracts, I initiated in a way where I would go through everything that everyone else did, so I could show that anyone can do it, no matter how deep and dark it can get. You can get yourself out and empower yourself. So I've
Did you
been
have
doing it
support
a
from?
while. It's just not been that cultivated among the people around me. So I've had to go more and more into the self and become autodidactic with my teaching, and learn from the body and reading the user manual of the body, and going to people around me that searching for answers, and people like me. So it's been a journey, lots of interesting people that I've been taking on as clients that I just learn all kinds of new things from. Everyone I go into, it's like an interesting story and universe into themselves, and it just gains me so much wisdom. So like right now, in this comparative awareness self to all the other versions and parts and pieces and higher self version of me, I barely know anything, and it all kind of like funnels down into this anchor. So You know.
So yeah, I'm curious as to you know, whatever you'd like to say to get the audience to get to know you, especially in this venue, where they get to see your face. You know, because they've heard your voice, and but they haven't really been able to connect with you energetically, visually, so to speak. It's just been hearing you speak. So we kind of want to take advantage of the medium now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Would you like me to go into like tuning into you and like use you as an example, and I won't go into too like
No,
in depth into stuff that you don't want.
No, I'm not. I'm
More
not
of
too
like,
sensitive about that. Really, I'm
yeah,
not. So if you feel like it's relevant and it's too personal, that's one of the beauties of this thing. Is if I end up thinking it's too personal, I can always edit it out.
exactly.
But I don't want it. I don't want stuff like that to disrupt the flow. And like the theme of my channel is reveal and forgive. You know, so like we all want disclosure, right?
Yep.
Do we?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're asking that of other people, then we should be willing to do that ourselves. That's just the way I look at it. So, and nobody's perfect. Everybody's got skeletons in the closet. Yours truly included.
Yeah. The reason I'm like bringing that up is not because of the skeletons. It's more of like, oh, you've got secret missions. I shouldn't put this out in public, so that version of you doesn't get targeted, or vice
Oh.
versa, going back and
Oh,
forth.
okay. Yeah. No, I'll let you use your discretion on that. Of course, you know. You probably do that anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll take a step back when I see stop talking about this thing.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So you
Like I already tuned into some of your interviews before, so like a little bit about you. I can bring up for the show some of your upgrades that you've been going through, technology of the body, the spirit that you've inherited, some of your past lives, some drama having to do with entanglements from past lives bleeding over to you now. Do you have any like pains or problems that you go through during the week that you'd like to track back and find a remedy for?
Um, sometimes I have lower back pains, and that actually I can trace back to some like physical stuff that went on when I was a kid. But that's been an issue. It hasn't been overwhelming, but it does happen from time to time. Lower back pain, kidney area, that kind of thing. Left side a little bit more than the right a lot of times. Right now I'm on my second day of a fast. So that will be interesting. Yeah. So yeah. No. I've been blessed with a lot of like help lately. It's coming from all quarters, and I'm not sure what to assign what to. Like, oh, you know, my session with Greg improved this thing. Well, you know, 4 days ago I was with Carl and he did this, and so it's kind of hard to say. I don't have a
You're
control.
kind of the efficient person when I look at your spirit, so I see that as like a jumping off point for your higher self, making its own system that heals you over time and gets better and better and better. And I will go into that too, because that's pretty impressive.
Okay.
And it will give an idea for being people watching the show of how to set their own up, because your voice activates it and gives them the option of expressing the same thing.
Oh, interesting. Did you have a lot of support with your friends and family as you went through all this? Were they open to hearing what you had to say?
Kind of supportive in survival and being able to help me get to somewhat comfortably to where I can progress into this, but pretty much like hush, this isn't real kind of stuff, and then not really able to talk about it with anyone.
Okay.
And then, you know how it is.
Yeah. They used to call it well, maybe they probably still do, the tinfoil hat crowd or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Agent Smith is smithing us all. Let's see. So I have so many things we could go into. I'd like to talk about what you'd love to talk about first, and then
really?
Stream reads and stuff.
Well, we talked earlier that this might be like maybe your first widely seen video. I mean, you've done interviews, but most of them have been audio interviews. I think you did 3 with Yvonne Palermo on Groovy Bean Radio, and
Hmm.
I think that at least in my circle that a lot of people were aware of that. And then I guess you did. Another person that I know that you worked with was Annette from Ascension Starseed over in Hawaii, who I got
Hmm.
to meet at the Shasta conference in August in 2016. So I'm kind of like, I've heard little snippets here and there, and then, but the thing that really turned the corner for me in terms of like, oh, we got to do this interview, was my friend up in Andrea up in Shasta, and she's she's helped me with finding interview subjects, in the past, and we had one where she suggested it, and I said, nah, I don't know, I'm not really, that nothing's happening there, so then I looked into it and I go, oh shit, she's right. She was absolutely 100% right. I need to interview this person. So when she mentioned you, I said, okay, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to. I'm just going to go interview this guy, and I didn't have too much time to prepare. I wasn't able to listen to all the audio interviews, with you and Yvonne, but
Have fun.
but yeah, I mean, this is a very impressive list of skills here that I just read. So
Thanks.
I'm interested in everything. I think maybe one thing that's kind of come up more recently for myself and some friends is this whole issue of targeting.
Okay, we can go into that. Okay, so I'm really good with targeted individuals and helping them heal. They go through a lot. It's usually they're targeted to it. Everyone's targeted to a degree, but then where it's noticeable to where like you can't start. The mind will like to put excuses in the way of like, for example, like many different people have been targeted in different ways, and it manifests in different things that impede their reality or their timeline. He's done chess moves that have been put in place to change their timeline subtly without them noticing it. Without if they don't notice it, they won't track it back to what's influencing it, and they won't get rid of it. So they like to hide it behind things. So like with the lower back problem, you have a excuse to look for, oh, it's because of that. And then that is true, and that's the physical manifestation. But then they would add on to that to amplify it to make it 80% worse. And then like you weren't contracted for that. The experience is lasting for and it's being allowed because it's a little indicator on the dashboard of your DNA technology of your body, so that you can resolve all issues in the multidimensional self version of yourself backwards and forwards in time, as well as other realms and existences. There's a lot of stuff that can be bled over, and it gets very interesting. The cat, sorry. Um, let's see. So lower back problem, I'm getting when I tune into it, like large amounts of different problems all amalgamating into one as like a thing, like check your engine on the dashboard kind of thing, but like for various problems. So this goes back in targeting. So most of it has to do with a large percentage of your entanglement with India. So as I look at it going, okay, you've got a whole bunch of different branches of higher selves that essentially you going back to this your source emanation of creation into the first universe, because you're a very old spirit, then going back that a higher self evolving to the point where it makes multiple versions of itself all the time to branch off into multiple experiences, planets, realms, universes, and then evolve in their own manner so that they can do the same thing in management system to other expressions of self as it expands outward and gains more experience, knowledge, and plants chess moves of its free will. So that going all the way back, you have all these branching and trees of higher selves that have branched off and made their own fractal sparks of their spirit, and then imported them into incarnate experiences. So that going back, you've got a whole bunch that have came to this planet in this solar system. A large percentage of them are interacting in the sun and then branching out to every planet in the solar system. Some are older versions of you in branching higher selves. that came here when this solar system was first starting. The Earth was first starting to get in the game as soon as possible, as well as your branch in direct line of incarnations that came here. Okay, a little secret stuff going on with this in time travel. Okay, it's yep. Okay, you came to this planet. So you had with very powerful timeline awareness. So you had a strategy and you had a way of doing things that wasn't like how everyone right off the bat was doing. And you also are friends with the planet, so you got the clearance to do it, where you would see a higher perspective of timelines and timeline awareness in influence for positive outcomes, where you would go to the future potential of the timeline that you wanted, and you would anchor a whole bunch of them in, and then go back to the past and try to bridge it. So you first went to the deep, deep future and had like jobs involved in that with Earth, and then had time travel versions of yourself go all the way back to. I'm not allowed to talk about how far you went back, but I'm allowed to talk about like some of the more ancient civilizations like Mu and Lemuria and Atlantis that you've been a part of. Though yours is very unconventional, so I'm gonna not talk. Anyway, I'm going off subject. So, India, you've set yourself up as in being because a version of yourself came back in time when first Earth was first becoming a planet and helping her protect in that state of being. You've got access to her VIP club in certain degrees, and you have a territorial protection caretaker concept for the country of India and some of the countries around it, because you expand more than that. Just the like the middle of it, and then you're branching out. The most point of activity. You've got pretty much yourself in incarnations and reincarnations all over that place in every role you could like imagine. Really, you got on all the rides for that experience. Kings, queens, the divinity path beings, dragons, the off-world species and different factions that were warring over the place, different points of the timeline, dream time protectors, astral protectors, nature protectors, inner earth societies, dimensional expressions in the planet that like between the space between atoms that hold hotel rooms for like higher density beings for their expression in protection, while this surface is going through its drama, as well as so all the entire caste system. There's a lot of advantageous ones to go into in version stuff to connect to, essentially like the divinity path beings in India, in like Hindu mythology concepts and different skin suit types that manifest and remanifest energetically, and then go usually from off-world species, as well as they have inner earth groups that are maintaining themselves in this density of reality, but in a separate bubble of reality that can be interacted with the surface population, mostly based on who they are and what their DNA holds and what their ability to telepathically interact with them. Okay, anyway. Is this? So the biggest things with that manifestation of back pain essentially is an indicator on the dashboard of parts of your spine having chess moves inserted into them to siphon off your valuable energy seen by the system of domination control to keep systems going and self-sustainable, with camouflage and hijacking of your spiritual contracts for experience beyond what you originally needed to as a wake-up call for certain things. So your energy is essentially being stolen in weak points of your timeline, mostly teenager, where your energy is being stolen and used for frequency mimicking sentience to mimic your authority, to chess move, alter the timelines, as well as attack other versions of yourself, mainly in India, because that's the basic targeting. You have some apex multidimensional predators that have seen you on the timeline and are wanting to limit you, and they won't directly entangle with you. They will send their hordes of lower peon factions of mind-controlled slaves at you in like demonic forms to limit your timeline in whatever way they can and maintain itself, so that they don't have to directly entangle their energy with you, because as soon as you get their signature frequency, you can track it back and stop them. That's being I'm working with your higher self to clear a lot of this stuff. I will name some of the versions of you. Essentially, like the big three in that mythology are beings that are very old, skin suit types, as well as spirits that go all the way back to some of the first universe and have been leapfrogging from planet to planet and expanding and bilocating versions of yourself throughout the multiverse. You are working with them. You have versions of yourself in each one of their species. You seem to have had lots of time travel things. So like, I want every kind of experience and like be taught by all these guys, including, you know, am I allowed to talk? Okay, sure. Okay, so like Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu's other branching higher self version of self, Krishna, and there's a lot of things going on with their spirit. Also, their collective consciousness of themself. They have universes of themselves, and like that expression all amalgamated into the body and the mapping of it. And they're really high consciousness, so it's not really a way to label them without limiting them, but you have large interactions with them. So that's the biggest thing that's being incurred upon. They're trying to gain access to those versions of yourself that are working with them, those divinity path beings, because the divinity path being of yourself, and access your energy, steal your abilities, and try to reproduce them somewhere else. So we're going to fortress that timeline as well as because you have ancestral armies that are wanting to work with you, so we'll be working with them to unite your multidimensional selves to make it easier to reclaim, shield, and make the fortress of the multidimensional self. And okay, another one is a big that's located there on the planet. I don't see many people as dragon version of themselves on the planet unless they're a big mover and shaker and purposely staying here on the planet. Most of the dragons I see are off-world. They're usually non-physical. A lot of the physical third density skin suit types have been hunted to extinction, though they still exist. I'm just, they're secret, usually in like secret status and hibernation. So this one has that concept, has a third density body, isn't using it right now, is advanced to the state where it's very high powered, out of phase, underground, hidden in India, and then expanding its entire self and all its energy bodies past the planet, past the solar system, past this universe and is interacting with multiple universes. It's very old. It's camouflaged, am I allowed to say? Going... Ooh, okay. It's a very old dragon. It's mostly interacting in its higher density state that's interacting with the universal central sun and this planet to help with what's going on here and hold up like its piece of the puzzle, as the beings under it are able to hold up more of their weight, just by working with this being, because it holds mystery schools in itself. It's a dreamtime protector. It's got a lot of things going on. 13th dimensional, very high density. I'm not going to even go into that. It's like density of consciousness is brought into its being to expand upon itself. Anyway, it's a female white. Okay, this skin suit type isn't like the normal like spectrum of in our culture, like Chinese, Japanese, Western, South American, all that stuff. It's a shapeshifter, so it has multiple residual images. It appears to me very non-traditional skin suit type technology, feathered, angelic kind of looking sun dragon, but like not just sun dragon, universal sun dragon, collective consciousness with lots of versions of beings around it interacting with it in its many cosms of itself, and it can constantly change its shape, form, and size, and it's expanding in size beyond universe. So it's very high mastery, so that's why I'm going into it. This being, they're trying to hijack this being's energy because it's a protector for India, and they're trying to infiltrate things that it's protecting, by going for less protected versions of itself, such as you, but like mostly not you, because you're more protected than, because you've got a large spiritual entourage. The biggest thing they can do to you is like big scavenger things of like coming in really fast and stealing something and going off with a lot of distractions in their way. Mostly targeted, corrupted versions of you as like karmic lightning rods that they're infiltrating. So we're going back to those. The biggest one of those is going back. So one of your secret missions, as a time traveler, you've got many different time traveler versions of yourself that are helping Earth with like combing out the hairball of timelines that are going on and warring against each other for chess moves of what manifests on this graduating potential. So it's essentially going all the way back to the first stages of Earth and trying to. Okay, I'll just resolve it. Whatever. And then there's, what am I allowed to talk about? Okay, you have negative version of yourself in India, so not going too far away from home, since I have already put that as a point of reference. Since you're in all experiences, light, dark, and neutral, there, as many different rides as you can, you also have long-term chess moves of interaction with the dark mystery schools in India and underground and in different species. As a rebellious wave of emanation, you understand that it's a little bit of a backdoor bleed over negative chess move to attack you, but you see the future potentials of what you could do in exchange of using as a doorway to anything that's trying to fuck with you, and then flip it back on themselves, kind of thing. And that's kind of what we're doing with your higher self. Right now, we're seeing the thing, we're broadening the awareness with Earth and your other universal selves through a filtering, auditing, managing process, so that any energetic lines that come from stealing stuff from you and then using in far off places so that you don't notice come to awareness. and then we close those back doors, and then you get higher and higher clearance as you take up that mantle of responsibility and getting rid of all the things that are stealing your abilities to suppress the population, and as well as you, to essentially 1% of your full potential of all the things you're getting in abilities. So let me make that easy for you. Essentially, we're making a big fortress shield around yourself backwards and forwards in your timeline, and we're spreading into other versions of yourself. And we're going to close all the bleed overs you have in energetic stealing from this timeline, so that, one, you don't get like that bleed over of pain as much. And if there's another thing on the dashboard, it doesn't have to be as like painful. Like, it could be a little indication dot that's like less harmful to you. Okay, I'm seeing the biggest holes in back doors on your timeline. Do you have any near-death experiences?
Not recently. I had several when I was well, not in terms of like dying and going somewhere and coming back and I've been revived. I've had some like what you might call close calls, like situations where I could have easily been killed. I had one situation where I had a life review as an
Oh yeah, exactly. So I'm getting some interesting stuff. And I'm getting telepathic text messages from your version of yourself in India that I'm helping and you're working. So you might get little buzzes in the head and weird stuff that's like package downloads. So also could be other things. So it's not necessarily completely good, but if there's a negative aspect, it's usually because you're getting an upgrade and then something's trying to insert something like, no, you can't have that, and then try to limit it. And then they're fighting that. So with the life review, it's very beneficial. It updates your strategy. It makes it so that you're more prepared when you come out of the no time field, that you're interacting with all these different versions of yourself, your angelics, your guides, higher self versions you source. You interacted with Earth during this life view, and Galactic Central Sun, Universal Central Sun, and multiple universes. I'm not allowed to say everything because you got a lot of secret missions, so I'll respect that. Okay, so the negative part of this is that it can be used as a backdoor based on all your entanglements with other versions of yourself. We got to audit all their different degrees of separation of themselves. In like first degree of separation, every being they've ever met in their timeline, walked across the street, heard their voice on the radio, similar stuff, etc. Second degree is spiritual entourage. Third degree, things like dream time guides, and then it goes out in like how many bubbles of reality they're separated from your bubble of reality, in that kind of concept. So we're auditing that. And that's a big thing. And then we got a lot of stuff. So I'm getting new stuff, so I'm going to be interested in that. Let me narrow it down. 71819. Then you have something going on with when you're a fetus, first trimester. Okay, so you get visitations from your soul family, lots of different points in your timeline. Most of them you're not allowed to remember because secret missions again. And like they're giving you upgrades and a lot of stuff, not against your free will. There are negative abduction scenarios, though they've been mostly prevented to the point where they wanted to. There are some that you have counter chess moves for that are very far reaching, and you'd like to keep them because they weren't. You also influence the beings to not harm you as much, and then just put a few blockages that you could handle later on as like a little training course for removing them yourself, as well as other people. The majority of them, though, you're contracted to learn how to remove some of these blockages, so you can do that for other people, because you've got a large degree of healing modalities that are coming to you in like trucks backed up to your house in like downloads. Yeah, of versions of yourself that have done this many, many times and have come up with the blueprint and have and are willing to send it through your filtering, auditing, managing process by source, so that nothing negative bleeds over in the downloading process, and you get that intuitive download of like, hey, what if I do this, and then eventually it lead up to this, and then you learn the abilities to with biofeedback device to be able to tune into it yourself and set up the blueprint for that modality and operating system. A lot of those you got. Okay, so I think I went off a little bit, but oh yeah. Okay, so you got this is advanced technology. I'm allowed to talk about it. I wasn't allowed to talk about it before, but now I'm allowed to talk about it somehow. It's a weird technology. What is this? Okay, Lyran faction. You have soul family with, not main group, branching off humanoid concept, inner earth, base, visitation. Okay, so it's kind of like they needed your spirit for certain things during critical points in the timeline, based on a lot of different awarenesses of what you're going to be doing in the future. When you were a fetus, your mother visited temporal no time field, and they had some spiritual and physical technology where they could interact with your higher self in agreement to create a bilocated version of yourself as an energy light body, and then while you're in that fetus of the womb, you would then branch a spark of yourself off, and then they would put that into a baby that was in their species, so you have a bilocated version of yourself in that species right now that's here, in an inner earth group. Where is this? Oh, okay. It's not in the. Of course, it's complicated. It's not in the. It is in the past. They essentially took this spark of yourself and put it in the past, back. It's even okay. They're giving me more stuff and information. Oh, by the way, it's this and then, it's in the past during, like, the timeline period of like the beginning of Egypt, and like towards the end, like a little bit before Egypt, and then it's in an. It was first held protectively in another realm of the planet during its growing up stages of life, and then it interacted in realm jumping. Okay, so it mastered bilocation itself and has essentially been spreading itself to multiple realms, including on this in this realm in Inner Earth. It's got a version of itself interacting with the anchorage species here, version of itself that's in multiple realms and going backwards and forwards in time. So they're it's not they're complicated. And essentially, we're fortressing that timeline version of you now, because that would be used as a bleed over backdoor to you, and you as a bleed over to it. So we're making that less of a problem for things trying to steal your energy to mimic your frequency for negative spiritual contracts to put more blockages on you, or pain, etc. So that's one of them. Then, what do we got? Okay, how old are you?
I'll be 60 in March.
Okay. You look young for that. Ooh. Okay. Good job.
Hard living.
Okay, so 49, age 49, something went on. Anything else? More time traveler stuff, man. You time travelers. Okay. So around September, age 15. No, it's 49, right? Yep. Okay. What you got going on? You got this is a big point. Okay. Essentially, during this point in your time, you've been approved for multiple interactions. You're a powerful time traveler. You got DNA lineages that allow you to access certain abilities that others aren't able to, as well as your spirit is interacting with the DNA constantly and upgrading more things as it goes along and smooths out the DNA technology as what's been passed down to you and worn down or broken down, watered down, and getting it back up in working shape pretty efficiently. So as you go on in your timeline, it gets better and better, and you can start programming it yourself as you're getting more and more access to doing that. So there's a big point in that date of September 49th. That's 49th, September 9th. So 999 thing. Lots of secret missions with that. Just let's just say it's more than one visitation, and you're going to be finding out more and more about that. It's going to get mind blowing, and you're going to be able to interview your body for like what happened during this timeline. How long was I gone in a tangent timeline? Your age regressed multiple times. They have lots of different technology for that. This isn't the secret space program, which is the human faction. The majority of that interacting with humans is the future versions because they're more able to make it unnoticeable in taking you out of your time and putting you back in a split second as if you never left, while copying the residual image and frequency and energy pattern of your body during the time they took you, and then bring you back to that position of order with their technology. Similar, but I'm not allowed to talk about the species. Okay, I'm just bringing that up as like a big thing that's going on, secret missions, and it's a whole bunch of backdoors. So we're gonna fortress that and get more awareness of that. When you gain the ability to access it yourself, so if you're going into the why, like the why is it work and stuff, for biofeedback device, there's many different things that people use. I've seen. There's even technology that makes it good. Like muscle testing for you, do you use that?
I have done it. I don't do it that much, but I have done it.
For kinesiology and muscle testing, there's many different ways to use it. I use it like this. I've done it for every finger, and I've been able to do it one-handed and all this other stuff.
I used to douse for water pipes when I worked before I went to college, so that I had to do quite a bit.
Yeah, so you can use that to essentially train your intuition to be able to tune into information very quickly to the point where you don't need it anymore, and then be able to do a lot of stuff with your healing. Just like if you can point to it, you can find the common themes of like what's its origin, what's it doing, what's it targeting, and then be able to find a remedy for it very quickly. You have learning processes. Essentially, you've gotten huge upgrades. You've got a higher self branch of yourself that is in the entire galaxy of Andromeda and is spreading out, branching out to every experience in that place, and has sent you that version of yourself, sent a higher self version of itself here that's also helping with other parts and pieces of itself continue and continuing the managing process that you have here for helping the timeline progress and get better and better and better and resolve stuff faster, because it's all about efficiency with that. So that version of yourself that is interacting in telepathic text messages that are constantly being given to you, and upgrades and blueprints and downloads of huge amounts of information from Andromeda, Galactic Central Sun version of you interacting with that, has achieved a direct access connection to your heart technology. In the first sphere of your heart after the 0 point, if you were to set it up like a baseline operating system that's a holographic interactive point, the ring has all these different apps in it that you can connect to different versions of yourself, operating systems, abilities, energy packets, upgrades, all kinds of things that you can interact with in technology as soon as you start interviewing what's there and get better and better at narrowing it down. So it's giving you essentially the ability that interacts with your heart, your crown, your third eye, and your throat, that you've already got this self-perpetuating operating system that's set up with that is constantly healing you, looking for things to heal, interact with your intuition based on what you are looking for in problems, and get behind the driver's seat so it goes faster and you're able to get rid of all the blockages that come your way, and use it as a training course to where you can remove the same amount of blockages, more than eventually to where the point where you are able to release billions in a few seconds, some of them that you're doing. And it's a learning operating system, so it's smart technology, so it gets better and better after everything that's sent at it. So it's a very good healing process. You emanate the codes for this in your voice to everyone that hears your voice, and gives them an option to be able to set it up for themselves through a filtering auditing process, so that nothing like tries to hijack it and bleed over and try to make you look bad. By like, oh, we can't give them that, make them put in fear of it, like attack them during it. So, and then be able to reproduce their own versions of that same system. It's very cool looking at the technology of it. Anyway,